call a meeting order. Celeste, please call a roll.
Case, Jadish.
Here.
Evans. Here. Kasserag.
Here.
Leidig.
Here.
Mead.
Here.
Slivka.
Here.
Stevenson.
Here.
Stacking.
Here.
Quorum.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, fourth item is approval of the minutes of November 8th, 2018.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Who's second? I'm sorry. Stevenson. Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we have one public hearing for this evening. It's the Dogtopia Dog Daycare and Kennel. It's a request to amend the Randall Center PUD to allow a kennel, fully enclosed, and a dog daycare as a special use and a special use to allow a kennel, wholly enclosed dog daycare at 2423 Fargo Boulevard. So location is 2423 Fargo Boulevard. The applicant is Dana Champion of Dogtopia franchisee. So I'll reread the Plan Commission procedures for the public hearing so everybody knows how we're going to proceed this evening. We now enter the public hearing portion of our meeting. It is the Plans Commission job to conduct these hearings in order to receive testimony for and against petitions for the general amendments to the zoning ordinance, zoning map amendments, zoning text amendments, and special use permits, and amendments to special use permits. The procedure we will follow for this request is as follows. First, the Plan Commission Secretary or designee representative will read or describe the written items, reports, and plans into the record. Second, the petitioner will present testimony in favor of the petition and will present any supporting plans or exhibits. Third, the commission members will have an opportunity to question the petitioner. Fourth, the commission will then receive citizen testimony both for and against the petition. Questions about the proposal may be directed to the petitioner or the petitioner's witnesses, and questions about the Plan Commission process itself may be directed to me. The following such testimony, the petitioner and the Plan Commission may ask questions of those who testified. Finally, the petitioner may provide a rebuttal to any testimony in opposition. When all the testimony is brought into the record, the hearing will be closed and the Plan Commission will make a recommendation to City Council in a form of motion or motions. In order to give testimony, you must provide your name and address on the registration sheet located at the entrance when you first walk in. By signing the registration sheet, you agree and understand that anything you say will be considered sworn testimony and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. When giving testimony, please approach the lectern. Speak directly into the microphone so that you may be heard. Please begin by stating your name and giving your address. If you speak additional times, please state your name each time for the record. Please be concise when presenting your testimony, and if your point has already been made, it is not necessary to repeat it. Each of these points is recorded and will be considered as the Plan Commission develops findings of fact and recommendation or recommendations. You may provide testimony in written form, but such testimony must be presented to the Plan Commission Secretary or designated representative prior to the close of the hearing. After the process is completed and everyone wishing to present testimony has spoken, the Commission will then decide whether it has heard adequate testimony in order to make a decision. If it has, the public hearing will be closed. After the public hearing is closed, the Plan Commission will refrain from receiving any additional testimony either for or against the petition. There is one exception to this rule. City staff will submit a report based on the testimony presented at the hearing. This report will consider comments or concerns from all city departments such as the Fire Department, Public Works Department, or Engineering Department. At this time, I will administer the oath to those who have signed the registration form. Anyone wishing to give sworn testimony, ask questions, or cross-examine anyone giving sworn testimony, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Okay, record.
I'd like to introduce Jackie Navarez as our community development intern, really helped work on this case, and she's going to read the contents tonight.
Okay, the contents of the Plan Commission file include a project narrative and response to special use standards prepared by the applicant dated September 27th, 2018, a site plan prepared by Marshall Architects dated November 30th, 2018, a land use opinion application review by the Kane DuPage Soil and Water Conservation District dated October 4th, 2018, a floor plan prepared by Marshall Architects dated November 30th, 2018, a stormwater application and site plan review by WBK Engineering dated December 10th, 2018, a photometric plan and light detail prepared by RAB Lighting for Come Grow With Us Daycare dated May 21st, 2015, a landscape plan prepared by Nelson Design Associates, Inc. for Come Grow With Us Daycare dated May 5th, 2015, a memorandum and staff report from the Community Development Department to the Plan Commission, which summarizes the request and provides staff analysis dated December 27th, 2018, a certificate of publication from the Daily Herald for the legal notice that was published on December 11th, 2018 for tonight's public hearing, and a copy of the notification letter and a sworn affidavit stating that said notification letter was mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property.
All right, thank you very much, Jackie. We'll hear from the applicant.
Do I need to lean in? My name is Dana Champion. My address is 2590 Malmesbury Court in Aurora, Illinois. So I am petitioning to open up the Dogtopia daycare. It is a franchise. Nationally, they're located in the U.S. and Canada. Kathy Halter is here with me from the corporate store in Phoenix to help answer any questions or address any concerns that if anyone has any additional questions. But I thought I'd just take you through a little bit about what Dogtopia is about and how we're a little bit different than really the old version of a kennel, which you might think of just dogs kind of being in a large area and not very well managed. So this is very much a different concept where it's very well thought out. Safety is the number one concern. Very trained coaches, canine coaches that are with the dogs all day during daycare. That we have a lot of safety protocols, cleaning, and different things that are in place. And I can kind of take you through a little bit of what that is, and then if there are additional questions, we can definitely provide more material. So just an overview, there are 78 stores that's growing every day. There are, I think, up to 90 now that are sold in the process of opening, again, through the United States and Canada. There are 3 that are actually open already in the Chicago area, LaGrange, Downers Grove, and Oakbrook Terrace. And there are several that are approved with permitting in South Elgin, Deer Park, and hopefully here in Geneva. So growing every day, it's a great business concept, really filling a need of growing care for dogs for people who are working all day and want to create better canine citizens through socializing them and training them and not having them just home and chewing on your shoes and clothes all day long. So just some statistics about the stores. They're just growing a lot. Comp sales year over year over 15%, targeting 400 stores by 2021. So it's something that's going to be around and in a lot more locations going forward. These are some of the commitments, again, to the safety and the cleaning and the differentiators of what makes Dogtopia different than kind of the old version of kind of mom and pop dog daycares and boarding facilities. Again, the canine coaches go through a very extensive training program before they even start. Then as they are on staff, they continue to go through a very large video training and then on-site training The home store comes and has a 2-week boot camp before we actually open the doors, where they are there hands-on and really help everybody, making sure that the opening is successful and everybody is thoroughly prepared for when the dogs start on as of day one. There's a very thorough evaluation process for the dogs as they come in. They have to be brought into evaluation rooms and temperament checked. They go through a very extensive list of evaluations to make sure that they will be okay with dog daycare. And if they don't pass, they're not allowed to come in. They have to have vaccinations on record. We'll work with the local veterinary stores nearby to make sure that there are places that if there were any kind of an incident, that they would we'd be able to take the pets there for care. There's a very thorough cleaning protocol. I have some examples a little bit further in of the biodegradable, very safe chemicals that are used to clean 3 times a day. They're very safe for the environment and for the dogs. So that's a very thorough cleaning program that they go through. We could go wipe down the kennels or the cages, the crates that they stay in during the day, as well as all the floors. The flooring is a special rubberized material that's safer for the pets, for the dogs. It's easier on their feet when they're there playing most of the day, so it's a little bit better than just a concrete floor. And then the outdoor location has the artificial turf that we're able to clean. Again, use the biodegradable enzyme cleaning system and what do you call the the vacuum, outdoor vacuum, to clean up the outdoors, to really keep everything clean and not have anything elimination even outside. The HVAC systems are separate, so there is different HVAC coming into the front of the building versus the back of the building. So when you come in, you do not smell dogs at all. You have very different air with the deodorizing and a scent system that keeps the smell very nice when even for the people that are coming in and dropping off the dogs. There are webcams in all the playrooms that the people, the pet parents can check on their dogs all day long. And then we would have, the daycare is the main focus, but there would be a spa for some grooming for the dogs that are there, and then overnight accommodations as well. Okay. I won't go through all the details. I guess if there are some specific questions about the odor or sound control, we did provide more of the detail in there, and then we can go into specific questions if there are any. But I kind of give you an overview already of the odor control, of the cleaning 3 times a day, and some of the chemicals that are used. This shows kind of the chemicals that are used. They're on a meter dispensing unit, so it's mixed automatically with the water in the ratio of water and chemicals, so that nobody can overuse chemicals. So it's always safe for the pets. There's the machines to clean both the floors inside, the rubberized floors inside the rooms, and then as well as the equipment for the outside turf as well.
The cleaning products are all enzyme and biodegradable, so they could candidly, a dog could drink them and I could drink them and nobody would get hurt. So they're very safe.
Clean very well.
These are some of the examples of how the building is designed. We'll have architectural firm designing the whole interior build. The location that I'm looking at on Fargo was a child daycare center, so the layout, general layout of the building is great for the dog daycare as well. With the large kind of open spaces already, we just will add some more soundproofing into the walls with the FRP. It's kind of a plastic wall that goes halfway up the walls to, again, keep it clean and keep it safe for the dogs. And then we use some extra air spaces, build the walls all the way up to the ceiling to kind of keep sound from traveling. So even within the building, even though this is a standalone building, we'll, keep the noise down even within the building. Again, the ceiling even is using kind of noise absorbing ceiling tiles to kind of keep the sound from going from room to room. So it's definitely not just a big open area where the dogs are just all there. And the canine coaches are really trained to walk through the room throughout the day and keep the dogs, both from, getting into any kind of scuffles, but keeping them maintained and under control so that they're not just kind of running around barking by themselves. They're really there to be kind of babysat, more or less. Some information on the waste management. So as well as with the cleaning 3 times a day, there's a lot of protocols around the waste management, double bagging the solid waste, and again using the bioenzymatic cleaning system to really clean up several times a day on the floor, on the rubber flooring, to make sure that everything is kept very clean. I mentioned already the canine coaches. They go through quite a bit of training on how to watch dogs, their temperament, what to look for, kind of the moods of dogs, what might be looking like an aggressive movement from the dogs. So they're very well trained to keep the rooms under control. This is some information about the security system. So again, there will be cameras in all the playrooms, so the pet parents can always monitor their pets. The canine coaches will have walkie-talkies. There is a lot of training around if there is a scuffle among the dogs. They have special tools and are taught how to break those up to make sure that they are stopped very quickly so that there's no harm to the dogs or the canine coaches. The security, so the building would be monitored 24 hours a day, and if there is any kind of incident overnight, myself as the owner and then the assistant manager would both be alerted. And we have access to monitoring through our apps and through the web all night long.
Through what? I'm sorry. Through the app and then through what?
On the internet, through the. So this is just a quick view of some of the interior design and feel. So you can see it's very nice when you walk in, very clean. It doesn't feel like again, kind of a big old-fashioned dog kennel that you would see. It's definitely focused on daycare, again, socializing the dogs and really kind of keeping them calm, but entertained. This is the overall site of the location. So there are outdoor areas on the left-hand side that are already there, that were there for the child care. But what we would do would be to put in a solid fence around those play areas so that when the dogs are outside, which is not very often, they're not just let outside and left to roam. They do go out a couple of times a day, but they will be with canine coaches. They will be monitored. They will be kept under control. So to keep any noise to a minimum to the neighbors that are there that are really businesses, and we would be closed by 7 p.m. would be the last pickup time. So there would be no overnight noise outside at all. This is the existing building, the way that it was laid out for the child daycare. So again, it's pretty much, the footprint is already there. We just would have to open up a few of the spaces. And this is kind of the first design layout of what we might do to just open up some of those play areas for the dogs. This is a picture of what the outdoor play areas would potentially look like at the end, where we would put the solid walls in so the dogs won't see cars driving by or people walking by, again, to kind of keep them from having any reason to bark. So it would just have the artificial turf in those 2 play areas and then the fences around. This is a picture of the interior, some of the graphics that go into the play areas. Again, not really for the dogs, but just to, you can see kind of the rubber flooring on the floor, and then just how the rooms are kept very, very clean. In the upper left corner, you can see there's pictures of what the crates look like that are inside the rooms. The dogs are put in there from like 12 to 2 every day to give them some downtime and some quiet time. Yes.
There's a fire extinguisher in there.
Oh, that's a.
Fire hydrant?
It's
Fire hydrant, I mean.
It's just for visual. It's a place. It's kind of a potty pad where they can actually go to the bathroom within the playroom, and there's a drain underneath. But it's really just a.
And you don't use
Visual.
bleach.
No.
No, we use the enzyme solution. It's actually more effective than the bleach.
Oh, I'd be using bleach.
You'll see above, there's a hose there, so if a dog goes and
Ma'am?
utilizes the potty platform, which
Ma'am.
they
Ma'am?
Ma'am.
Would you come up a second? Would you tell, for our reporter and stuff, would you tell them your name so they know, they have somebody saying something, but they don't know who it is for the record?
I'm Kathy Halter, and I'm with our Dogtopia support office out of Phoenix, and that is called a potty platform. It has a fire hydrant obviously for aesthetics, but it also works really well for dogs to learn and be trained to go one place to go to the restroom. So they go to the restroom there, and and then the canine coaches will take the hose. It's got a waste drain right underneath, and so the urine will go through the artificial turf, and then it'll be washed down with the water, and then we'll clean it with the enzyme solution as well. And then that will be after the enzyme solution sits there. The next time that'll be hosed down as well. So it's very effective in keeping the smell contained, and it's also a very effective way to keep the room very, very clean. And then teach the dogs or continue to teach the dogs to utilize the potty platform rather than to urinate in the indoors. So it feels like it's outdoors for them, so they go home and they still go back out and go to the restroom in their backyard. So
Thanks, Kathy.
Inside at the beach.
Just a close-up view of the cages that are again in the playrooms. This is Dana Champion talking again. Just to see, they're kind of similar to what people may have at home for a kennel, but the dogs are taught during the day to go in and out of the kennels or the cages. The canine coaches put them in and out to kind of desensitize them, so it's not seen as a punishment or anything to the dogs. They get very used to kind of going in and out and just being in there, and when they go in for their break time during the day, then it's there's not really any issue with them going in there, but just to see their regular cages. And then this is just a view of what the suites could look like. So the dogs can be overnighted either in the cages in the playroom. They're actually very comfortable in there. They're especially dogs that come to the daycare regularly. They get used to being in that room. They get used to the smell. They get used to the dogs that are there. So if they're overnighting there, they're actually more comfortable and quiet within the playrooms. but some people like to have their dogs in suites in special rooms, so we will have a room of suites available as well as an option. And that's really a high-level overview. Again, it's a very large growing industry. More and more people are seeking out daycare. It's safer than having somebody come to your house and walk your dog in the middle of the day. That might be a total stranger or a stranger to your dog. And again, that's only for 15, 20 minutes of the day, where with the daycare, they can be there kind of between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And being socialized and really learning how to be, you know, calmer and used to other dogs and other people. So there have not been any issues with all the locations in over 10 years with, you know, big neighbor or residential impacts. And we just very excited to be in the Geneva area and get started. So can I ask if there are any questions that we could answer?
Questions?
I've got a couple.
Sure.
There's going to be limited boarding, so in practice, what does that mean? Is it 10 dogs a night, a typical night, or is that? And what would the capacity be, I guess, of the training center?
So the final capacity will depend on the architectural drawings and the design. Preliminarily, there has to be a cage for every dog. So the limit is really the total capacity would be however many cages would be in the center. The boarding is not a major focus. So when we say limited boarding, it's really that the focus and the marketing and the intent is to focus on daycare.
Right.
And then we'll have packages available, so membership packages for people to come several times a week. And then typically it's going to be the dogs that go there to the daycare that would do the boarding. So there will be seasonality. You know, this time of year people travel more. Summer vacations, there will be higher levels of boarding. But that, I think, very rarely you'd ever be at capacity for
Right.
boarding.
So just in general, do you think the capacity for daycare is 100 dogs? 50 dogs?
For this building, yeah, we're probably going to be able to house up to 120 potentially.
Okay.
Again, the staff would be, you know, grow
Sure.
as that grows. So
Sure.
we'll
And
kind
you'll
of
ramp up
ease into it.
from, you know, day one opening, you're obviously,
Yeah.
there's going to be a ramp-up period to get to that
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
When would your target opening be, if everything went as planned?
Well, if I had my way, hopefully May.
Okay.
The architects were planning to get started first week in January. Then we'll, you know, be applying for permits and getting the contractors in
Right.
place. The whole building process is very well managed through Dogtopia. They help with the whole general contractor selection and bidding process and all through construction, so they're very supportive.
Lastly, I spent some time this week and a couple of visits just looking at the exterior, and I see a lot of discussion about what's going on in the interior.
Yeah.
But first impressions are everything, and I'm sure you realize
Yeah.
there's probably a little work that needs to be done. I
Yeah.
see some buckling sidewalks.
A lot.
Today it was raining and the gutters were leaking in the middle of the building. I mean, there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
What's planned for the exterior?
Yeah, the building has been empty for, I think, 9 years now, and yeah, not very well maintained, so the whole thing is going to be a pretty big overhaul. So it's a very big undertaking.
Right.
But yeah, definitely, the structure itself is sound. I've had several contractors out combing through it and looking at plumbing and looking at the electrical, and it's pretty much a total redo. All the HVAC systems will be replaced.
Okay.
The exterior for sure will be painted and repaired, and the sidewalks. And then one of the things that Paul mentioned in the package was for the the landscaping.
Right.
We submitted the plan that was an old plan for one of the old daycares because I haven't been able to get a landscape architect to design. But I'll obviously work with the city to meet the requirements.
Right.
The trees, from what I could tell in September timeframe, were all healthy that are there. So I'm hoping the trees are okay and it's, cleaning up and definitely freshening up all the landscaping.
Okay. I like the use for this area. I think it's an appropriate use. I think I read an article in a Southwest Airlines magazine about Dogtopia, and I was thinking,
Oh, did you?
should I do this? But apparently not.
Come on over.
So,
Beat you to it. Yeah,
There's still open markets.
go ahead, no?
No, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
You'll be the franchisee?
Yep.
Will you also own the building?
Yes.
You will?
Yep.
Okay. And do the dogs, and I should say, do the dogs' parents tend to all come and go early in the day, and at the end of the day, is there kind of a concentration?
Yep.
My only concern is that intersection is kind of nasty. It's got a three-way stop, which confuses people, and there's often some congestion right there, especially, I went through there at rush hour tonight, and
Yeah.
it's not great. What are your thoughts as to the traffic? If you've got, you said 120 dogs, if you have even 75 people picking up about
Yeah.
at rush hour and trying to get in and out of that parking lot.
Yeah, let me go back to the layout. So yeah, the Fargo Boulevard intersection, it is busy. I think, again, it's similar kind of to what it would have been with the child daycare.
Very similar.
It is, you come in on Randall Court and then, can pull in, so there wouldn't be, I think, any issue with cars backing up. The drop-off and pickup is pretty quick for the pet parents. There are 24 parking spaces, and there should be probably only 5 or 6 employees at any time, so there should be more than adequate parking spaces for any of the pet parents to be parking and picking up and dropping off. And they do come at, all different times, like they do for the daycare, the child daycare pickup and drop off, so it should be more than adequate. I don't know, do you have something else to add? Yeah.
Kathy Halter, one more time. I actually have spent the last 20 years in child daycare, running child daycares across the country. So being able to compare a child daycare center to a dog daycare center, they're very, very similar. In fact, the square footage that we calculate and states calculate for children to be in childcare is almost identical to the square footage that we calculate for dogs to have an active play environment. So you'll see that likely the prior use housed as many children as we will have dogs. The other thing is that we have an app where parents, pet parents can actually hit their app that says that they're close and they can just drive through. This is uniquely set up for an in and out. They can drive through and we can meet them out with their dog. They don't even have to get out of their car and they can go right back out. So we can really help with the traffic flow, keep it moving, not have a lot of challenge there. And as I said, from a childcare standpoint, there would likely have not been any more parents picking up children than there will be pet parents picking up dogs.
Paul, do you have any, you're fine with this?
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
I don't remember when the
the,
daycare, so how well that worked, so.
La Petite Academy was closed before I got here, but I don't recall, having anybody hear anything that was, wrong with that intersection or anything. It seems to flow. I mean, I go through there. I go to Fox Valley, is my doctor's place, so I go through that, fairly often, and it'll seem okay, but we can see if there's something that would happen. But I think the spread of people picking them up is like 4 to 6, so it's doubtful. I mean, I don't know without experience to see how many would be concentrated in an hour or during that period of time. So.
Paul and Mem, I can kind of add to this. Brad and I both have children that go to Kids and Company, which is just across the street.
Across the street, right.
And I mean, that it's not even a named intersection really, that little, I guess, inlet, it's no picnic either. Right, and I really never have a problem getting in or out of there, and we're drop off about the same time in the morning, normal 7:30-ish, and then pick up in the evening, and, no issue there. And that parking lot, it's a larger parking lot, but it's also used for the investment firm and whatever that color boutique is and a couple of other stores. So it fills up pretty well, so I would not see it being an issue. Again, not a great intersection, does get very busy, but still, just the fact that probably about the same size at Kids and Company, and I've seen no issues there.
I'd agree.
Well, I was here, and I had friends who had kids there, and it wasn't easy, but that's not their problem. It's our problem for allowing it, and it's a headache. It really is, but it's not our problem. It's that intersection. But that's not their problem. And with that app and everything, that might alleviate the issue. It's just a crappy intersection.
Yeah, I'm glad the cars can pull into that little circle area and kind of get out of that intersection, not have to be coming in, right at the end. So they can at least turn in and go in to the back way.
And once the dog parents figure it out, it'll go much smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
if people
first
know
it's gonna
know
be
the way
icky.
it works, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll require all the participants at the 3 stop signs to be collaborative and cooperative with their,
Yeah.
because you have to,
One other thing that's a little different for dog daycare than child daycare. Typically in child daycare, you see children come 5 days a week. In dog daycare, we see about 3 days a week, so that will reduce the number of potential pet parents that are there. And also, we see that they come at different times. It's not just your typical morning and afternoon because of the curriculum that children have. Parents want to get their children there at a certain time to begin those curriculum times, or to get there for breakfast, or to be there for afternoon snack or outdoor playtime, where it's not nearly as rigid for dog daycare. Also, our customers are typically millennial women and baby boomer moms. And what we mean by that is as you have children that are at home during the day, you're a little less likely to bring your dogs to dog daycare. But when you don't have children at home, as a millennial pet parent, very likely to come, very much more flexible with their schedule. They're not trying to get to other things with children. And then the sort of baby boomer mom, where the kids have flown and grown, that the dog becomes the important important little creature in their house at that time, and they have a more flexible schedule. So we see that drop off and pickup is not a typical 8 and 5. It's varied throughout the day, and we actually ask our pet parents not to pick up during nap time between the 12 and 2, but they can pick up or drop off any other time, and they come, and they're very very accommodating to that. So we really do see a varied traffic pattern.
Thank you.
I just had a couple of, just curiosity, like operations type questions. So you had mentioned that typical clients are kind of like 3 days a week, right? So do you sign is that a contract then? Like, okay, you're locked in for a month at a time where you bring your dog?
We'll have a variety of pricing packages, so you can do day by day. We're kind of experimenting a little bit with how the packages will be set up, but there could be, where if you're going to be 3 times a week, you could do that on a monthly basis, or buy like a package of 10 and then
Gotcha,
use them.
sure.
So
And
yeah,
use them.
we'll have a variety, and then discounts for the more you buy, the more you
Sure.
discount you
I'm
get.
just curious, what would a day cost? I mean,
Are you going to come?
I do not have a dog, and I do, and I'm curious. I am not a dog person, but I love the idea.
I don't
so.
have it set in stone yet,
Gotcha.
but generally it's around $30 a day if
Oh,
you
okay,
just buy
yeah.
by the day. Again, discounts if you buy more. But I think if you compare to like the dog walkers, people are paying $25 or $30 just for someone to come by and walk their dog for 20 minutes. So this way you're getting a whole day of dog care. And then if they stay overnight, then the whole day of daycare is included. So it's a little bit more for the overnight, but but they get to be there for the whole day as well.
And then is there Dogtopia merchandising? So, but you guys
There
have your own
is.
brand of food, your own,
We have
toys,
swag.
and I saw the shirt. But I didn't know if, like, if you walk in, do you have your own, like, lamb and rice mix and, your...
No, it's, there's not a lot of retail involved. I think some locations have a little bit of retail, maybe some specialty things. So maybe depending on what's in the area, if with some local
So there's is that a
events.
PetSmart, a 3-iron right down the road?
Yeah, there's a
I didn't know if that
PetSmart.
was a plan to do something there, so.
But yeah, no, we will have some merchandise available as well. Yep, they're little stickers and koozies and all those important things.
Just curiosity questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me, just a couple of questions. You mentioned child daycare. Is there any kind of licensing or anything, special licensing involved in dog daycare?
No, there is not that I am aware of. Any history?
Actually, it's sort of growing a little bit. In some states, there is regulation based on square footage and the ratio of canine coaches to dogs. Here, there is not, though we exceed all the regulations of the states that are regulated. And for all of our stores, we have a regulation where we meet or exceed those regulated states. So we have plenty of space for play, plenty of excellent training, and we also have a program where we validate our stores and bring our stores to what we call a top dog standard, so that pet parents know that they're bringing their dogs to a very safe environment where our canine coaches are well trained and where their dogs are in super safe environments. So I see it coming. Interestingly enough, the states that are regulated were the most heavily regulated childcare states. There's so many synergies.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, yeah,
Go ahead.
tons. All right. Well, I'm a dog owner and a cat owner. I noticed you've got these huge 3 big play areas. Are they going to be broken down by size of dog?
Yes. Yep. So again, this isn't final, but because we kind of use the larger dogs require more space, so the bigger space will probably be the larger dogs. So we call them kind of a toy area. Toy dogs, was it under 10 pounds, 9 or 10 pounds? In one area, so nobody bigger will ever go in there. And then kind of the medium-sized dogs, and then the large dogs go in a separate area, but it's somewhat based on temperament as well, but really mostly by size. If you had a medium-sized dog that was, I guess, really rambunctious and maybe wanted to be with bigger dogs, I guess you could put them in there, but they really kind of go through that whole evaluation. The canine coaches touch them and evaluate them with different kinds of tempered dogs to make sure that they're in the right environment for each dog.
And how do you evaluate a dog?
So there's a long checklist that they go through. So we have, the parents will come in with their dog for what we call a meet and greet. And so it's not right into daycare. They have to come through and again, go through that evaluation. So there are these evaluation rooms that are before they go into the actual playroom. So they'll go in there. First, the coaches will again kind of evaluate them, how they are with them as being a stranger. They pat them down, touch them on their legs and behind and everywhere to make sure that the dog isn't scared or reactive. Then they go through, they'll bring different dogs in to the room one at a time to see how the dogs react that way. And then, we kind of have a whole checklist evaluation and a score card, and if they fall within a certain range for all of those different areas, then, we'll have the dog come in for kind of a trial. Suggest maybe they come in for 1 or 2 sessions to make sure that everything's okay, and then they do wear a special collar, correct? In the beginning, so that the coaches know that they're a new dog, just to kind of keep extra eye on them, make sure that they're not getting intimidated by any other dogs. So if a dog fails the evaluation, we won't let them come in because we don't want to have any dogs get hurt, the new ones or the ones that are already there.
Okay, that's a good idea. All right, I went over the money. I'm a little concerned about this cleaning stuff, because if a dog has like taxidia or diarrhea, is sick, and the owner doesn't know about it,
Yeah.
I don't see how anything but bleach is gonna clean it.
Bleach is actually more harmful to them. I mean, it appears like it cleans, but, oops, I wanted to go back to the chemicals. The cleaners that we use are used by veterinarians and, where is the cleaning?
Keep going.
I don't have a large picture of it, but there's different, the one, what's it called? The one that breaks the disinfectant.
Come over and help.
Okay.
So there's a couple of different things that it's important for you to know. One is that every dog, before they come in, we get their shot records, and we require certain immunizations and shots before they come, and we check and verify that with their vet. So we don't just take the pet parent's word for it, we call and verify it with the pet. And then we also track that, and we go back and make sure that they are re-immunized, and we strongly encourage immunization for canine flu and various other sicknesses. Then we also have, our team is trained for 12 different canine illnesses, so they can recognize those. So when a dog comes in, they go through the front desk, they're checked at the front desk, they then go through that evaluation room before they go into to see the rest of the pack. Dogs are clearly pack animals as well, so they're comfortable with that, and so they come through, and then we check them there. And then the next step is that we have a system called the sterile air system, which is in our HVAC units. So any airborne pathogens would go through that sterile air, and the UV it neutralizes any of those airborne illnesses. And then finally, the last step is this cleaning product, which is enzyme based. And that enzyme absolutely does 100% clean. There are two different illnesses that can be a challenge, and that is canine cough and canine influenza. As we said, we strongly encourage the immunization for canine influenza, and our canine coaches are trained to be aware of canine cough. It's a very different type of cough.
Bordetella?
Yeah, Bordetella as well, but they're trained for that, so they can see that. And then we have a protocol if there is a dog that does have that. That's why we also have the suite, so we can separate the dog. If a pet parent has dropped off a dog, we can separate them, put them into the suite until the pet parent can come and pick them up, and then we can sanitize that suite so that we don't let it get into the playroom. We have right now 88 open dog daycare centers throughout the U.S. and Canada. I know it said 78, but we opened 10 in the last couple of months. And we've only had truly one outbreak of canine cough, and we closed down the facility for a day. We cleaned the entire facility. We brought back our pet parents. We utilized our cleaning system. It's a cleaning system through Merck, one of the probably most trusted names in cleaning and in canine care. And so we feel very strongly that we have absolutely the right protocol to keep dogs safe and to keep the community safe. And we also love how biodegradable it is, that it's a natural enzyme, and it truly does clean very, very well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, anybody else?
I was just going to ask, it probably looked at some of the competitors around here in West Chicago. I'm just blanking. the doggy daycare in West Chicago.
Oh,
On
yeah,
Fabian.
Fabian, right.
Pause and Time.
Pause and time.
What, size-wise, how do you guys compare to them? Are you familiar with them at all? Just so I get a feel for the
I'm-
traffic, because I've experienced that and what it's like inside in terms of the dogs inside and out.
I'm not exactly sure
No.
how big they are. I would assume, I think the DePauw University, which is on the east side, is larger, I believe, like more like 9,000 square feet, because those are in more kind of industrial-sized buildings, so I
Okay.
think they're even larger.
Okay,
But I can't say for sure.
okay,
Sorry.
no problem.
Yeah, Mike. Oh.
Danny, I was wondering about your experience. You know,
Yeah.
What's your background?
Me? 25 years of corporate finance. Decided to finally work for myself. So really, family business. My daughter and son sitting here, they're going to be there helping out. And just really want to kind of be part of a community and just have a business for myself.
And how did you pick
Dogtopia?
dealing with dogs, right?
Well, we have had lots of dogs and cats and all kinds of animals in our household, so always been animal lovers. And I just started really looking around for what kind of business I would want to be in, and I wanted to be in something that I really could get behind and believe in. And it's a good business model, and Dogtopia just really stood out over and above any other dog franchise that's out there, just with their business model, their support, the whole plan, all this. You know, they've got scientists on their team coming up with the cleaning systems and the training, and it just kind of sold me over the top because it was just such a good product.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike.
So can you just talk in a little bit more detail about how you manage the outdoor play areas? You know, particularly from a standpoint of noise when there are other businesses fairly close by?
Sure. So we do have the outdoor areas. There are a lot of the locations that don't have outdoor. They're really all inside. It just kind of depends on where the location is and whether that's an option. You know, the outside isn't completely necessary. It's great. It's I'd say a benefit from the more of the pet parent standpoint probably. I mean, the dogs, sure, they like to go outside, but they don't, you know, have to be outside during the day. If you left them at home, they probably wouldn't be either. But we, you know, have it there for them, and we'll take them out, you know, in the summer, probably put a little splash pool out there, have some entertainment, but you try to take them out in small groups. And you know, with a canine coach, again, to kind of monitor, manage, really try to keep noise down. The canine coaches, some of the protocol is they are always on the move. They're not allowed to just stand in one spot and let the dogs go crazy. They are always moving. They're kind of the pack leader. So they are moving in and out of the dogs. We can kind of watch it on the monitors all the time, and that kind of keeps the dogs from getting into any aggressive or chasing or picking on one dog type of play. Again, they have kind of blankets, materials, and training that they go through to make sure that if the dogs do get wound up a little bit, that they know how to make that stop, you know, moving some of the play area equipment around or getting in front of them, putting a blanket over a dog if you have to kind of break anything up. But it's similar inside and outside where they're kind of always supposed to be managed. We do have, you know, entertainment like bacon flavored bubbles and things that they can play with, but kind of keep them managed.
Thanks.
I have one other
Go ahead,
question.
Nick.
Sure.
You talked about all the cleaning and all of that, that the solid waste, I understand it gets double bagged and then put into a sealed container, then
Yep.
where does it go? I mean, does it get picked up with the regular once a week trash or?
I believe twice a week is the normal pickup that we try to do for the outside trash. But yeah, I mean, at the location there's the garbage bin outside. I think I haven't gone through all my training yet.
We typically recommend twice a week dumpster pickup with the double bagging, and we don't see any smell dumpster, lidded dumpster, gets picked up twice a week.
Yep.
Anything else? Yes, Tom.
And are there any blanket exclusions in terms of types of dogs or breeds of dogs that might not be appropriate for socialization?
No, there are obviously some aggressive breeds, but again, they all go through the evaluation, and they have to pass through that whole checklist of touch and interaction with other dogs. So regardless of the breed, they need to be able to pass that whole evaluation.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay,
All right.
thank
well,
you.
We'll hear from the public now. I have two names on here. Jules O'Neill, 1120 Randall Court.
Hi, I'm from Tri-City Family Services, so we're right adjacent to that property. The noise is a concern as we do therapy. Our building is self-closed, we don't have any self-contained, our windows don't open, but we're very concerned about any level of noise and what the staff-to-dog ratio outside would be.
This is Kathy Halter again. The staff-to-dog ratio inside and outside is the same. And candidly, when we take them in smaller group outside, it's actually a lower ratio sometimes. So it can be up to one canine coach to 20 dogs at the most. Typically, it's less than that. The outdoor play area, we were just talking about being able to potentially break it into two separate outdoor play areas, which would make it even smaller. The interesting thing from a sound standpoint is that the fencing that goes around the outdoor play, it's 8 feet tall, it's not 6 feet. So there's it's very unlikely that the dog is going to, and it's solid fencing as well, very unlikely that they'll see anything that will spark or incur any interest. If you also looked at the site plan, the outdoor play is on the other side of the building from cars, and loud noises are things that would, from a non-sight or non-smell standpoint, which would give a dog reason to get excited or something, but that's on the other side of the building. So we feel like it will be a very nice area. We also keep them very much engaged. So an engaged dog with their friends that they're playing with, doing follow the leader or bacon bubbles or running around, they're really not very loud at all. We don't have that type of environment outside.
The other question I had is, you guys talk about the garbage being in plastic bags. So those bags are biodegradable or not?
The
Plastic bags.
The plastic are the little, have you seen, like when you go to take a dog out, you've got the little tiny bags that are the little dog food bags, so we tie those first and then we go into a typical black garbage bag, and that is not biodegradable black.
And are you sure that the pickup twice a week is going to be enough to manage the odor?
We don't have complaints at other locations, but certainly if we did, there are other options that Dana could do if need be, but we don't expect there to be a problem. As I said, 88 stores, we don't seem to have any issues.
And then just the one coach to 20 dog ratio? That's the highest? Or is that that's the highest? Okay. Little concern, no parking. It's tight in that area. Our clients coming in and out and the dog, but I mean, I think you gave a pretty good explanation of the traffic flow, and I like the idea of the pickup and big dogs can just come out, so there's not stopping. Because it's pretty small in there and it does get kind of, our prime time is 4 to 8 to 9 at night. And it's a constant flow of kids and adults and traffic, and so just wanted to bring that concern that we had up as well. Those are the only questions that I had, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, which building is yours?
1120 Randall Court, Tri-City Family Services. So the friends, their
This one
friends
right here?
area
Okay.
shares our parking lot and our main building, so.
Okay.
or our building.
There, this one, this one.
Okay, Mark Coleman?
I had my glasses on when I signed in. I just thought that was an attendance thing. But as long as I'm here, I am Mark Coleman. I am a real estate broker from Coleman Land Company in St. Charles, 703 East Main Street. And last summer, I had a doctor's appointment at Fox Valley Family Physicians. And I came out of that parking lot and I looked at this property. And I'd been by it before, and I had never noticed it, but I noticed it that day. And I parked, and I walked around the building, and I thought, wait a minute, this is Geneva. This cannot stand. And I did research. I found out who the property owner was, a bank in Kansas, and I contacted them, and I said, I don't know what's going on with this property, but you are probably getting your door beaten down by hungry commercial real estate brokers that want to go to work for you. And the trust officer said, not really. So I kind of took it under my wing, and I made it a point to, first thing I did when they agreed to work with me was get Fritz Landscaping in to wrestle the yard back into some kind of decent looking condition. I mean, it was just like a jungle. And I've dedicated myself to getting this property moved away from the abandoned state that it was in for how many years, the city knows better than I, but it had to be a long time. And I wanted to get that back in the private hands to return that to a functional piece of property. I mean, it's not hidden, it's kind of out there in the community. And it needs to have some life and vitality brought back into it. And I tried my darndest to encourage all of the neighboring properties, you know, from the Geneva Eye Clinic to Fox Valley Ortho to the Fox Valley Family Physicians to take an interest in this property. And it's not priced out of line. I mean, it's priced almost right on top of vacant land price. And we finally have somebody that's taken an interest in the property. And I think it's going to be a tremendous benefit for the city to have this with lights back on. So thank you for your consideration tonight.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this matter tonight? Hearing it.
Move to close the public hearing?
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Okay. Jadish.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Kasserag.
Aye.
Leidig.
Aye.
Mead.
Aye.
Slivka.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Stocking.
Aye.
Passes.
I like the use.
It's a good use.
I like the location. I think it is valuable property, and I think it's a complementary use to what's around it.
It's going to work. Yep.
Anything else? Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, first of all, I have a question for Mr. Evans. Does these are two requests. Do they need to be two motions, or can this be made in one motion?
Why don't we do two motions?
Okay, and I'll add the condition to each motion, just because I'm not sure which one it's.
To the second motion.
Second one? Okay, okay.
Yeah, just to the second motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the Randall Center planned unit development to allow a kennel, wholly enclosed, and dog daycare as a special use at 2423 Fargo Boulevard, subject to the findings of fact contained in the staff.
The first one is just to amend the Randall, I'm sorry. You wouldn't want to be specific about the
Findings of fact.
2423. That's the second part.
Okay.
If you look at the
All right.
cover,
Let me restate that motion. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend the Randall Center Planned Unit Development to allow a kennel wholly enclosed and dog daycare as a special use.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Jadish?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Hasserag?
Aye.
Leidig?
Aye.
Mead?
Aye.
Slivka?
Aye.
Stevenson?
Aye.
Stocking?
Aye.
Passes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for a special use to allow a kennel wholly enclosed and dog daycare on the property located at 2423 Fargo Boulevard, subject to the findings of fact contained in the staff report, and further subject to the condition in the report on page 6, that the applicant shall install the landscape plan adopted for the Come Grow With Us Child Daycare, a previously approved special use for the site that did not move forward, ordinance number 2015-24, or submit an alternative landscape plan that shall be submitted for review and approval by the Community Development Department Director.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Jadish?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Hasserag?
Aye.
Leidig?
Aye.
Mead?
Aye.
Slivka?
Aye.
Stevenson?
Aye.
Stocking?
Aye.
Did I miss anyone?
Very much. Best of luck to you.
Good luck.
Does this go to council?
We're looking at January 7th. City Council in this room at 7 o'clock. Yeah, I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, that makes it official. Thank you, good luck.
Good luck.
All right, give her that back.
You want me to update your?
Yeah.
All right.
Where else we gotta go?
All right.
For next year.
Yeah, for next year, our next meeting, it would be January 10th. At this point, we don't have anything for that meeting, so I doubt we're going to have a meeting on January 10th. Kind of what we have, we're looking at, that went to Historic Preservation Commission was the, if you guys know, the Griffin White Law Office. It's at 4th and Hamilton in the old Geishy Shoes building.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're making some changes to the building. What they want to do is do a building addition to the south. There's 3 parking spaces. So they're going to have a site plan approval they're going to need to come forward with, and they know they're going to have to pay for their parking because you can't lose parking in the,
Right.
in the down. You may not have to supply it, but you can't lose it. So, so they have a site plan to bring forward. That'll be coming forward here, probably in January, maybe. And then we're expecting tomorrow the greenhouse to make a submittal for the subdivision, which was Geneva Meadows before Western and Country Springs.
Okay.
Country Squire Drive, I'm sorry. So it's I think it's about 20 unit subdivision. They're asking for a rezoning from, I think it's R1 to R2 or something like, I think R2. Yeah, and then we're still waiting, probably sometime in January, it's for Oberweiss, the outlot in front of At Home at Fabian and Randall, that coming. And there's some other things in there too, but those are what are probably most right. We're working with, we just had given Hamilton Place their first set of comments, and we met with them, so they're trying to really clean that up, so maybe in February, end of February, so we would expect. This is
Yeah, refresh my memory.
Hamilton is the Citron. They changed it.
okay.
They changed it it's
got
from
that sign
Citron.
now.
It's Citron Place preliminary, and they changed that because Citron had a negative connotation. They said so. They're calling it Hamilton Place.
Hamilton.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty much the update for now.
What about that house over on the east side?
They moved. Did they move it? I think they moved it.
Still sitting there.
2 days ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
It's still there. Yesterday.
They're
Still-
supposed. They're supposed to move it to
Still-
East Side Drive.
I know, and I'm worried the whole thing's gonna go like this, and the whole thing's gonna fall apart before they move it.
I don't know. I haven't. David and Eric building, but I haven't been a part of that discussion other than to know it's moving, eventually. So I don't know what's,
It hasn't moved an inch.
yeah, I don't know what's holding it up right now. I don't.
What's holding it up?
I mean,
Not much.
it's not snow, so, it's not snow, so yeah, okay.
It's not going anywhere fast.
Okay.
That's for sure. Every time I drive by it, I'm like, oh, it's still there. It's gonna die right there. It's gonna.
So Paul Duncan was approved?
Yeah, I was gonna just say, from our last meeting was, in November 19th, was Duncan and St. Mark's were approved.
Right.
At the last meeting. St. Mark's moving forward fast, and so, yeah, both of those going forward.
Any signs of life at the, was it Meadowbrook? Was it the senior?
Yes, yeah, there are signs of life. They had called me 2 or 3 months ago and said that.
Right.
And every now and then we hear from somebody working on it. I don't know why it's so slow, but when you're working on things for over a decade, I guess
Right.
this is relatively fast. So, I mean, I don't know.
Did I hear that they had applied for and gotten a certificate of need again, or no?
They may have. See, that's good.
No, I thought that I had heard that in this venue.
That they're going to, I think. They seem confident. I don't know that they already have it. I think they would have been doubtful, to give them it because they've told them so many times. But that was their plan.
Right.
So I don't know. Waiting to
Perfect
get
use
it.
for
But
that
they
land.
had called me. Their person had called
That
me
or
and said
Delnor.
they want to do it. And it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
come
perfect
forward.
location.
But we said you got to go through again because it lapsed.
Right, right.
Paul, who is doing the 20-unit subdivision on Weston?
Nitty Development.
Nitty?
Oh, you know Nitty?
No, we saw Nitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were here.
Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah,
Yeah.
the concept. That's right. Nitty Development. Yes.
How many units was it when he was here, and how many is it now?
I think he was still at 20.
That's what it was originally?
Yeah, I think he's been working. That seems to be his number.
And what was it, I didn't catch what you said was in the Gishi building?
It's Griffin White. They're a law firm. They were in the what is it building across the street, across at Fifth and State, the private bank building, or
Okay.
yeah.
Anything new with the Mill Race Inn property?
Yes, if you look on our website, under RFPs, actually, it's an exciting process that you guys will probably be part of, in the sense that of community, is that David right now has a RFP out for nationally for companies to come and do a charrette on the design for Mill Race, and then this whole, different than a lot of what people think charrettes are, this charrette will be one that, a lot of people think a charrette is you come and meet here and you draw and everybody has a little different idea and you do this. This is much different. This is, David's gone to an academy, for charrettes, and you have to be certified to be, this is a 5-day charrette, and they do engineering and they do market research and everything. So what comes out of this, and it takes months to do the background on it, and when you come out with a fairly finished product about this is what the developer and the people in general come up with. This looks like this is a product that could be developed on the site. And then from there, they have like 6 weeks from the conclusion of the charrette to submit a plan for approval to, for
the
review.
developer to submit a plan?
Actually, it's whoever the charrette, whoever is, the developer is paying for that. And right now, the city is part of that RFP. We're with, Shodine and the city are going together on the cost of helping the proposals, sharing the cost of the firm that would run the charrette.
site.
And then eventually it would be, Shodine's development, I believe, so.
He would either develop it as charretted, or.
Yeah, that's largely.
Or he could sell it and develop it for a fee, if it was an idea he didn't embrace, right?
The thought is, that going through this, and they're working with the developer at the time, that it would be something that would be acceptable to the development team. So that's, the thought is that, so anyway, it's kind of an exciting thing. January, it's due, and they'll
It's not
select
open
in
to the,
February.
you
What-
can't witness the charrette, can you? It's not open to the public. That's-
I think it is.
It is, really?
Oh, yeah.
That would be
No,
interesting.
this is,
So
yeah.
where are you gonna
I
hold
think
it?
it's encouraged.
Where are you gonna hold it?
Well, I think,
have
I don't know, actually.
Put
I,
up some whiteboard and
when
Go
David's here next time or whatever, you can
This
get,
is in
he'll give you
January,
more
you said.
information on that. What's that?
In January?
In January is when they're due, and they'll be selected in February, and then the meeting will be in like May.
Oh, okay. So
May, end of May, beginning of June, and then there'll be a public, there's one that's maybe David helps with that, is a public, like education about what the charrette is about and how to, and then meanwhile, this consulting firm that has engineers and architects and, you know, planners and all that is developing the whole site, working with the, you know, meeting with groups, people in town, you know, probably one of the groups would be the plan commission or individual
Right,
members.
right.
Interviews and things like that. So, looking, you know, what do you see the use on this site? You know,
so
what would
who's
you?
involved in the selection process? Would be City and Chodine will be doing the selection?
Yes, correct. There's a list, I think, in the RFP itself. So it's on our website, down at the bottom, bids and RFPs, and you can read it. I don't know if it's 20 or 30 pages, but Chodine, a number of people, myself,
You're a part of the evaluation team.
yes, development, engineering, you know, so it's a broad, I think it's about 10 people that are on this, like a task force that working with it. But the point is to involve the public in this, that it will be a public 5-day, you know, doesn't mean you have to be there for everything, but, you know, hopefully people will have interest in that.
Sounds cool.
Very cool.
They really just should get rid of that mill race thing. It's just,
Get rid of the,
the mill race.
oh, all right, that's part of history.
It's, sometimes there's a time where you just should say, your time has passed. It's
Okay.
time for a good death.
Seems like that vote has sailed, though. What would it take to reverse that decision?
To reverse what?
Right now, it's an historic building, right?
Yeah.
And so, and now it's been reviewed,
I think you just incorporate it.
Yeah, it has to be incorporated
and
in there.
it's,
The old mill grill.
it's sitting
That's
there
what it is.
and that status. It would take some major, I would think, action to get that decision reviewed, to get it reversed.
Reverse that it's like a landmark or?
Yeah, a non-historic building. So you
Yeah.
could do something with it. Right now, you
But-
can't do anything with it without getting some approval, right?
Right, that's correct.
Historic approval.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, you know, obviously they'll tell you a number of historic buildings have been demolished too, so it just means making the case.
Didn't it receive that status because of like the chimney and some other small piece
Well,
of it?
it goes down to a lot of the history of Geneva is a mill race,
Sure.
you know, so that's partly why the historic, and obviously then the construction of the part that they left, you know, 15-inch walls
Right.
and things like that. So it's a part of the history. Whether it remains like it is, that's to be determined, but, you know, so.
Part of the puzzle.
But for right now, it's being recognized as a landmark.
It looks like a wreck.
I just think we need to like, repurpose that stuff. Again, like using, whatever brick or stuff is there, make a walkway in front of the post office or something.
Yeah,
I'd use it for a bar I'm building in my basement.
yeah, to be determined,
it.
yeah. So,
Hey, Paul?
Because what the restaurant did was they just took it and said, okay, fine, it's historical, we'll build around it.
right.
And so no one ever even knew it was there, so.
Oh, I
Mill
did.
grill, wasn't it? Isn't that?
What's that?
Wasn't that the mill grill, that part of it?
It was that small room, you know, and there was,
Little bar downstairs, I think that's. what-
oh, that was, no, I
It wasn't
No.
part of that? No.
maybe. I was thinking in the middle there, yeah.
No, that was not any part of it. They just walled it off and then built around it.
Right.
Because
That's what I
you
remember.
never knew it was there.
Cool.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, they didn't know.
So if we participate, are we able as plan commissioners to participate in the charrette?
I think
Because
it's probably encouraged, you
we
know,
would
that,
be participating as citizens, not as in any capacity as a commissioner, correct? In the
I think that's the case.
Because we have our place to participate in the process later on, I
Yeah,
would think.
yeah, I think they would still have you participate in the charrette, I mean, as citizens, right?
Right,
I
and
think
and I
that's the
think you
case.
should just, yeah, you wouldn't want to say, hey, I'm a plan commissioner, here's what I.
Right.
Because you have
Yeah.
to take all the information later on and act on it in whatever capacity, right? So-
Yeah.
Would that not open a possible conflict if we were all there giving our, oh, I want a door here, or, a window there, and then
I
2
don't
weeks
know,
later
you
it's
know,
in front
that,
of
we
us?
may have to
I think
talk to
you have
David
I
about
think
that,
you
but,
just have to be thoughtful about how you contribute.
yeah,
Right.
but I don't
Knowing
know
that we're
that,
gonna be involved as a body
yeah,
later
the
on.
plan
No,
commission.
because I was part of a charrette before for Geneva, and not at all. I mean,
But I'm not saying you have to be thoughtful about how you do it, how you tee it up.
You discuss what you'd like to see and how it's
Right.
gonna work out, and then when it comes in front of the body, you explain why, the thought process and what went into it, and then everybody else here puts their input in and what they like or don't like about it, and you're like, oh,
Right.
yeah, good
No,
point.
I'm not saying that it's not doable, I just want to make sure I understood the protocol, because there are two different capacities that we're in, right? So,
It works.
I'm sure it can.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I had then.
All right. How do you spell charrette?
Charette.
All right.
French, I believe.
I'm going to use that like 3 times this week
All right,
in conversation.
all right. Work it in there, work it in there. That
And
worked,
you
just
look
tell him, I
brilliant.
think we ought to have a charrette on that.
Should have a charrette on it.
All right.
You look brilliant, John.
That's hard for me to look brilliant.
No.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Em.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Here.